Lisa Curtis is director of the Indo-Pacific Security Program at the Center for a New American Security. She's now joining us live. Lisa, good to have you with us, and thank you very much for making time for us. It's a big day for America, and it's also a big day for the world. What do you think will be Trump's first thing to do after he's sworn in to office?
Well, thank you for having me. And President Trump himself has said that the first line of business he will do is signing over 100 executive orders. And we can expect that these will be on policies on everything from immigration, of course, to energy policy, and, reforming the federal government. So there's likely to be several major steps that he's going to take through the signing of these executive orders. Things like declaring an emergency at the southern border, which would allow him to access funding for starting to resume building of the wall and to do the deportations that he has committed to doing of illegal immigrants. He also may declare an energy emergency, which would allow him to immediately begin drilling in lands for oil that were previously restricted to this kind of activity. So I think we can expect some fairly dramatic policy changes on this first day of the Trump administration. And everybody's, kind of waiting to see exactly what those will be. But,
Lisa, do you expect, because we know Trump, he's now coming back as the US president of America, but do you think he will have some surprises with him? Because many people are expecting him to sign these executive orders and then he pops up with a surprise. Do you think he will have one?
Well, Trump always has a surprise, and I think we already saw one of those surprises over the weekend where he was able to get the TikTok app reinstated after being down for 12 hours from Saturday night to Sunday morning. You had a lot of elated Americans, 170 million Americans that use TikTok were absolutely elated that President Trump was able to get the app reinstated. That was a surprise. So yes, I think you can always expect surprises. Trump, that's part of his ruling style, is to be a bit unpredictable.
Right.
But he does also reflect American American wishes. He's very in touch with the American polity. And that's part of the reason that he did flip his position on TikTok. He, of course, supported banning TikTok in 2020, but he has completely reversed that position. I think that's in response to the American people and what they want to see moving forward. So,
Lisa,
yes,
still talking about TikTok, just at that point that you made about TikTok, we read reports that actually the Trump administration is making efforts to talk to ByteDance, which is the parent company of TikTok, to reinstall the app back in America by Monday. I don't know if that has happened yet or it's about to happen.
The app is usable since noon on Sunday here in the United States.
Oh, so it's back.
It has been up and running.
All right.
Trump was able to do that. And on the TikTok app, there is a message that says, thank you to President Trump for helping to reinstall the app. So it's already happened.
Okay.
What happens now, we've yet to see. But President Trump has already used his, power and ability to help get that app reinstated. So people are using TikTok in the United States.
There was also worry, Lisa, as we wind up this discussion, that if nothing could have happened to the TikTok, or if TikTok was not reinstalled back in America, that would have affected the relationship between America and China. Do you think so?
Well, yes, I think the TikTok ban issue is a factor in the US-China relationship. And what Trump has been signaling is that he will take a different approach to China. He invited President Xi to the inauguration. Of course, President Xi is not attending, but the vice president of China is attending. And so Trump has been reaching out to China, signaling his interest in wanting to engage. So we'll have to see how that plays out, given the fact that his two main foreign policy advisors, that is, Secretary of State designate Marco Rubio and the National Security Advisor, incoming National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, are both China hawks, and they're going to be advising things that take a tougher stance on China, things like export controls, technology controls. So how this plays out, given Trump's personal interest in wanting to establish rapport with President Xi, I think we've yet to see.
Lisa, now that we're talking about China, Trump had earlier said that Taiwan should be, prepared. His comments made with respect to China's military and also territorial, actions in the island country. What do you foresee happening after Trump is sworn in?
Well, look, I don't think that Trump's going to use Taiwan as a bargaining chip. In other words, I think President Trump will stay committed to, defending Taiwan and supporting Taiwan. I don't think he will signal that the U.S. is backing away from its support to Taiwan. And that's, very important, given that China has been much more aggressive with its military exercises, its willingness to, fly military aircraft across the median line that divides the Taiwan Strait. So I think that this is important, that President Trump is not going to use Taiwan as a bargaining chip. Yes, he wants to engage with China. Yes, he wants to make a trade deal with China, but I don't think he will do that at the expense of Taiwan.
All right, that is Taiwan and China. What about Ukraine? Because Putin congratulated Trump and said he's very open to talks on Ukraine. What do you think will happen there?
Well, look, President Trump has been saying for a long time he wants to see the Russia-Ukraine war end. But how this is done, I think, is much more complicated, because it has to be done in a way that Putin is not going to attack Ukraine again in another couple of years. So this means that Ukraine needs some kind of security guarantees that would deter Russia from ever trying to invade Ukrainian territory again. And so how that happens is still a question mark. But I think, President Trump isn't going to want to make a deal that is not, does not ensure that Russia is deterred from attacking Ukraine in the future. President Trump would want to see a deal that maintains U.S. strength and demonstrates that the U.S. will, stand behind its partners and will stand up for countries maintaining their sovereignty. So I think, these are the things that will be on the minds of President Trump and his closest advisors.
Lisa, stay with me. One final question to you. We are live in Washington, D.C., and just a few hours from now, the 47th President of the United States of America will be sworn in, and that is Donald J. Trump and his Vice President, J.D. Vance. They've already gone to the White House, and the change of guard has already happened. Lisa, this is going to be a different inauguration ceremony because we understand it's going to happen indoors. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it usually does take place outdoors, but in this case with the weather, it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit here in the United States. It's very, very cold. I think this was the right decision to bring it indoors. It'll have a different feel, of course, being indoors, but it won't make it any more historical. It won't make it any less historical, any less consequential and monumental. I mean, this is a remarkable political comeback by President Trump that we are witnessing. And the fact that he has come back, one of only two presidents that has had non-consecutive terms, that is very important. And he won by, a fairly large margin. So he has a huge mandate. So all of that is what matters. The fact that it's indoors, not outdoors, I think that's a very small matter at this point.
True. At noon on the 20th of January 2024, Donald J. Trump will be declared the 47th President of the United States of America, and Trump 2.0 officially begins at that hour. Vice President J.D. Vance will also begin his career as a Deputy President of the United States of America. Lisa, what do you foresee ahead of Trump 2.0? Will it be different?
Yes, I think that President Trump 2.0, there will be some differences from President Trump 1.0. We can already see those differences in terms of the organization and the speed with which he has named his cabinet, the speed with which they are getting sworn in, or will be sworn in very shortly, naming his appointees. Apparently, he has 1,000 political appointees already that will be named and in place this week. So that is very different because in Trump 1, as you remember, it took a while for Trump's, machinery, the people, the appointees to get into place and start moving on policy. It's very different now. Trump knows the system. He knows what he wants to do. He knows how to do it, and he knows the people he wants to make these changes. So that, I think, is the biggest difference. The other difference is the fact that he has, a Congress that is very supportive of him. The Republicans control both the House and the Senate, and there are many Trump supporters among those Republicans. And so I think you're going to see him be able to implement the policies he wants to and not face a tremendous amount of obstacles within the U.S. Congress. So these are two changes that we've already seen. And I think, we're all in for a changed situation in the United States. And I think, people are ready, and they're ready for some changes.
Right.
There was a lot of unhappiness with the previous administration. So, yes, it's a big day for the United States of America. And as you said, it's a big day for the world.
It's a big day for the world indeed. One final thing, Lisa. Yesterday, Donald Trump did indicate in one of his rallies that the ceasefire has commenced in Gaza, all thanks to him. Do you think he should take credit for that?
Well, look, I think people understand that the Biden advisors and Trump's advisors have worked together. Steve Witkoff, the Middle East special envoy to Trump, was out in the region. He was, working behind the scenes with the Biden team to make the ceasefire happen. I think this shows how important it is to both administrations, the outgoing Biden administration, the incoming Trump administration, that the bloodshed needs to end. There needs to be a ceasefire in place. The hostages need to be returned. And so they were on the same page. I think this was a rare situation. And I think history will remember this moment where the outgoing team and the incoming team, even though they were from different political parties, came together for a very important foreign policy, win. And I think this is something that we all need to take note of, because there was a lot of concern with the time of transition, what could happen, what are, some of the fears that there could be a foreign policy crisis. But instead, what we've had is during the time of transition, the two administrations working together to see this very important ceasefire put into place. So yes, I think Trump can take some of the credit for being willing to have his advisors work closely with the outgoing administration's advisors.
Well said. Lisa Curtis is a national security expert. Lisa, that's all the time we had for you. Thank you for talking to us today. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.